Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on facilitation, collaboration, and communication for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in the car, on your lunch break, or making copies, and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Hallie Case, and I'm one of 4 educational specialists for professional development in the Office of Professional Learning in Fairfax County Public Schools. And I'm joined by my colleagues. They're going to take a minute to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Anderson.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Hazelbeck.
Hello, I'm Erica Williams.
All right, so for today's episode, which is our very first episode, we wanted to introduce ourselves to you, and we thought we could do that by really exploring community building, particularly on teams. And so the first question that I thought we could tackle really addresses an elephant in the room, which is, why do we think that so many people resist community builders at the beginning of team meetings or staff meetings or when they're engaging with colleagues at work? So what do you all think?
Well, I think sometimes people are short on time and they think to maximize their time, they can just skip it and sort of get started right into the meeting, the meat of the meeting, and just pass it by because time is so valuable, especially for teachers.
Yeah. Sometimes I think people are really just, teachers are interested in getting right into the work. We have things that we want to accomplish to support our students, and they may not find as much value in getting to know each other.
Yeah. I also think that a lot of times people are uncomfortable with the idea of community building, and they've had bad experiences with it, and it goes back to time as well. Like they want to get into the work.
Yeah.
They don't have time to be able to sit around and get to know each other.
Yeah, it's kind of like some people think it's hokey, or they don't really value that community building. They don't see what the purpose is, or they may feel uncomfortable, especially if you don't have that trust built. You don't always want to share things about yourself with the group.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of vulnerability that's required to be able to share things about yourself, especially personally when you're in a work setting.
But then it's like, how do you get to that without building the community?
True.
Yeah, so lack of time, perceived lack of time maybe, or that other things are more important.
Right.
That we have to there's some urgency in the work that teachers do in schools, so you have to jump right to it. And maybe not really understanding the why behind it.
Yeah.
So how would we answer that question? I mean, we work with a lot of teams. Rebecca, tell us why you think, because I know you think a lot about community builders. If we're going to do one as a team, you come up with the most fun, creative ones. Why are community builders important?
I think that it's critical. Relationships matter. It's critical that we take time to get to know the people around the table, so that we can trust one another, and so that we have that safe space where we feel like we can take chances and where we can be innovative and bring different ideas to the table in the best interest of all of our students.
And it's funny that you say that, because Rebecca, when you pick community builders, you often pick a task that everyone is doing together. And when we think about how we build trust, sometimes it's like, do we build trust by doing the work together, or do you build the trust first and then you do the work? But for you, I feel like your style is often, let's roll our sleeves up and do something together, and then that's how that trust is built. So it's funny that those are the ones that you lean on more often.
Yeah, I also think communication is strengthened too when you're able to really build community, get to know each other, the ways that people like to talk, what they need in order to be even more cohesive. That's so important too, I think. What do you think, Hallie?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's all of those things. And it is, like Mary Beth was saying, to me, a little bit of a chicken or egg, which comes first situation, because I feel that urgency. I want to just sit down and get work done. And I think that we can we've gotten to know each other really well by just doing important work together. And we've also spent time building community. So maybe that moves us into, if we were to offer people some really practical, easy ways to start doing community builders with their colleagues, what would be good starting places for people? What could they try?
Yeah, I feel like you need to start small and figure out what works best for your team too. Like, what are the ways that we can get the buy-in from people? So maybe it's a getting to know you question. And we've all seen those where, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish or something super simple, that those are sometimes the things people roll their eyes at.
Pressure.
But they're low pressure,
Yeah.
low stakes. It gives everybody an entry point.
Yeah, we used those on the teams that I worked with at a school recently. We called them check-in jars. And so we would just come into the CLT, someone from the team would pull out a card, and we would just quickly check in with one another. So that was kind of a nice way to get to know each other.
Or maybe it's, because community builders can be long. They could be short, 5 minutes. They could be really long, 20 minutes, depending on the time you have. One that I also like is what if. So it's like 2 images. Or would you rather? Would you rather do this or would you rather do that? What if you were blah? What would you do? So I think it just is, it could be really large or it could be something that is minimal, lower risk, that just gets people talking and really understanding each other.
Mary Beth and I did a community builder recently for a course, and I think we all like humor, and I think humor is a great way to build community. Like, laughing with people can really, even if you don't always see eye to eye, if you can laugh with someone, then you can work together, I think. And so we watched like a clip of a late night host talking about worst advice, and then we had people share the worst advice that they've ever gotten. And I mean, people were laughing and they had lots of ideas. So that was quick. Like, it could have gone on long, but it was also really short. So.
And it was something that tied into what we were doing that day, right? Because it was for a Compass course around taming your advice monster. So you're not giving so much advice. So it was sort of like a grounding, but it started out as fun, and we got to know a lot about the people in the room.
Yeah.
So.
And then you bring up something too, a grounding versus a community builder. Like, grounding is in really focused on whatever the topic is that they're going to grapple with in the moment, or a community builder such as a game, something that's more personal, a variety of things about self. So I think that both work too as far as forging community and collaboration.
Yeah, I think you just have to know what your goals are
Right.
for your meeting and your time together, and build out your grounding or your community builder based on what your goals are.
Yeah, and goals for the team, because a team that's new to working together might need more of these low stakes community builders versus a team that's been together for a long time, and how do we lift up the way that we work together.
Yeah. I think that as we think about it, we're halfway through the school year. So teams have started, like, they've gotten a sense of each other. And maybe if you're starting to find yourself in a situation where it feels hard to laugh together, or it would be burdensome to say, like, what our favorite Thanksgiving side dish is, like, if that would cause people to really feel like their time's not being used wisely, then an alternative might be to do something around values building and, like, understanding what people care about. Because I think that that's also a way to understand where people are coming from and if there's tension. But I know that, like, you really value productivity and keeping students centered, and I also really value those things, then we can find common ground in those places too.
Yeah, and understanding where people are coming from, and their actions and how the stress shows itself with each other. So even though this is maybe a hard time for schools right now as we're getting ready to gear up for SOLs, it's also thinking about, like, checking in what's hard for you today, or what's something that you're coming to the table with, so that we can sort of clear that air when there's tension and then get to the work.
Yeah, and I also think taking time just to celebrate with one another as well. Like, what's something we can celebrate today always brings groups to a really nice place and ready to get into the work.
Yeah, focus on the positive. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I think that we covered some practical ideas today. A couple things that stand out to me are really thinking about the why behind community builders and determining if that could be useful for your team. Like, do you need to find ways to work more efficiently together where you feel like your time's being used productively? It's worth the time to invest in some small community builders. So after this podcast episode, we'll share to our Instagram account a couple of the tools that came up. we can share the check-in jar questions that Rebecca mentioned. So those are just little slips of paper that you can cut up and put in any sort of hat or box or whatever jar. So we'll make those available to people. And then there's also some really helpful values identifying tools that Erica has used with our team and with other teams. They come from Elena Aguilar, and she has lots of wonderful free resources on her website, so we will link people to that as well. So thank you so much for joining us for this first podcast episode. You can find those resources and learn more about us on our Instagram account, which is at FCPS_PD. So thank you so much, and we hope you join us next week for more PD on the Go.